the Alberts. Welcome back to the Bae-Sics.
Back to the basics.
Welcome back to the Bae-Sics. I am Darryll Albert, and I am with my beautiful wife,
Janice.
So we are glad to have you with us again as we take you through our journey of 35 years. We're going to be celebrating 35 years of marriage. Can you imagine that? 35 years. I'm telling you. And we have had what we believe is an incredible journey.
Yes.
And so we want to share it with you, as we say. So tonight we're going to do this episode is going to be about the journey from friends to I do. Now, on last week, we talked about friendship, how to make sure that the people that you surround yourself with are even capable of being friends, and who out of that you can develop something with. And so we tell you to know your circle, know who you're dealing with, know who's around you. And one of the things that we talked about, well, we was asked this question mainly, that is about boundaries. When we were dealing with developing
Right.
friendship, we was talking about boundaries. What type of boundaries should we have when you're developing a friendship with anyone? And so the thing is, it depends on what it is you're trying to do. If you think that, well, regardless of this is what we'll say on the friendship. If you are beginning to think that you want to develop a friendship further than just saying, hey, how you do, or, we're talking about common things, then you do need to set up walls that we're going to get into, that, you got to have boundaries.
Right.
That's regardless of whether or not you just friends, friends. There should be some boundaries. There should be some respectable boundaries.
Because sometimes if you don't, you could lose everything.
Right.
That.
Because in that, you can lose respect in developing your friendship. So there have to be some form of boundaries, but we're going to get into that even more when it goes from just simply good buddy friendship, I can count on you to have my back friendship, to something developing greater. And the thing I'll tell you about, here's when you know whether or not the people you are around you can develop a friendship with. If the person doesn't inspire you to grow as a human, or as a person, I would say, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, then you kind of know that, well, I might could have a buddy, a hangout comrade, but I can't really have a friendship with that individual. I may have somebody that can, we can go down the street, ride, and pick up a soda pop or whatever it is, and come back, but we will never be able to develop anything other than that. When it comes down to developing a friendship, that person must be able to inspire you as a person, inspire you naturally or intellectually, I would say mentally, amen, and spiritually.
Right.
So we're going to go now from there to...
Well, I want to say something about
go ahead.
You were saying inspiring, and I did not say it last week, which means that in every friendship is not for marriage.
Right.
I'm talking to the young ladies now.
Right.
Or older ladies. Every young man that you see, or every older gentleman that you see, it might not be that person for you. So that's good. The boundaries are good for that. And it's just a friendship. That's all it is.
So, it's what we would call a brother, sister like friendship, Okay. But we want to take you a little bit further on that journey when it goes from when you pick out or see an individual that you think you can develop something deeper with. And so that's the thing. The journey to I do, from going from friendship to go into I do the altar. So I'm going to allow you to tell them a little bit more about our relationship,
Okay.
how we went from just simply uh, how you doing, having respect to developing a serious relationship that led to I do.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm gonna plug in. I'm gonna plug in what needs to be plugged in.
Okay. Okay. Um. Well, we were friends, like we stated last
Right?
week. And somehow you and neither I, when we talked about it, couldn't figure out when the shift changed. And I think more so when just a feeling get involved with it. And sometimes you just know that, hey, this could be the person for me. Because in
Mm-hmm.
this segment, the journey to I do,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it might be I don't or I won't because you find out that this
Right.
is not the person for you. But for us, God, we was blessed where our journey to I do is 35 years strong.
Right.
So I
Well, we
think,
be, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
But when it's just that I don't know.
Well,
It's hard to
well,
explain.
well. I'm gonna take it back to when you actually got on my shift
Hmm.
because that's when we began to communicate more. That's when we began to develop more as individuals that could take things a little bit further than friendship. Because up until then, we basically was, when we got a chance to talk, we would talk. But then when you got on my shift and uh, we began to talk more, and when we began to talk more, we start having, well, I would say similar thought patterns, similar conversation, whatever conversation we had, you know, I don't know, man, it's something about when you begin to believe that the individual is different than other individuals, that you can say, okay, gosh, I want to be closer.
Or I
Uh,
enjoy their
I
company.
enjoy their company because we start enjoying one another company. So we start talking more. We start talking more and then more and more and more. And then we begin to develop feelings for one another. And well, I'm going to speak for me. I began to fall in love. And so I said, I began to fall in love. So, but nevertheless, um,
I need
when we
to.
when we start growing and in conversation, I say, you know what? She has attributes that I like in an individual that I would expect in a female, one that I could see me being serious about. And I think that was the thing that got me. This is why I keep talking about our mature conversation, because I think if our conversation was simply about, and I'm gonna say the word sex or any other thing, I don't think anything could have really developed out of that. But I think that some of the things that happened to us, like, you know, not only simply working together, because I'm later gonna leave that job,
Hmm.
but we're gonna continue to communicate. We did have a place of that we can get together, which was church.
Hmm.
So
Well,
we,
we got a question that asks, "Did we date?" And we
well,
had to have date
yeah,
to
well,
to
we
know each other, but it was more so at my house or
right. Well, I tell you this. I remember the time when
the first time you took.
yeah,
We
when I
talked about that
yeah,
last week.
the first time I took you out to
We just went to Columbia to ride, but we had a
where
third
was the pizza
person.
place? Because what color were with me?
Yeah, but that was the first
We
time
went to
when
get
Deacon
pizza.
Pat. Well, when the deacon came to the house.
Well,
Okay,
when he came, no, I was going beyond that.
okay.
Yeah, because they vetted me like I was some criminal
Hmm.
before I even was able to take you out. And so it was me, you, and another friend.
Hmm.
We went out, and was that the first one when we got the pizza? But she can't remember. But I think the first time was we went out. she and I and another individual went out and we got pizza. And that's the time I kind of watch you not eating all of your pizza. I said, wait a minute now, you don't eat all that,
I
right?
was,
You don't remember that part?
I remember that.
Okay.
A
So
lady, you know,
that was about our first, that was our first date. So here's the thing about, here's the tripping part about when you're talking about the dating part. Because a lot of our dating actually came at the church if I didn't came at
to my mom's.
to her mother's house. And so between work, uh, church, going to her mother's house, that basically about it because
We went out, we went out to eat.
to eat. So m- most of our dating was like that, if you want to say. Um, I don't know whether or not that will suffice a lot of you all, but that was,
Some it might take more.
yeah.
I don't know,
But
but for us,
But us, it didn't. We simply went on a few. I can remember the few times we went to a restaurant, but most of the time I came to see her at her mother's house, or we saw one another at church. Because when I started working at the same place she was working at, I was working other jobs, and as a result of it, we got to see one another at church and when I came to her mother house. So we can basically almost about count the time we actually went out somewhere to eat.
and we got another question about should we have a third wheel when we're dating? And I think, to me, I I think that's a good suggestion.
Uh,
We had to. There were a couple times that we didn't. We went to Red Lobster, I believe.
right.
It was just you and I
Well that's when we both was at work.
at Red Lobster.
Right.
Okay.
I got off my job. You was on your job. You was working in that what's that center
Yeah.
across from Kmart.
Right. At the
And
clothing store.
right at the clothing store. So we went there and went to Red Lobster.
But I think, honestly, if that's, I mean, not saying that you can't keep yourself, or I think it's safety
It's a
in
boundary.
numbers, and it's a boundary, because what's gonna be. There's plenty of time for that.
Yeah.
I think you should, because speaking for the young ladies, sometimes we can be more vulnerable, whether we believe it or not. And especially when you know that your feeling have changed for that person, because before then a touch was just a touch for me. But I remember one time that you held my hand for some reason, and it just felt different, so I knew then, okay, I need to back we need to back off of this, because it was like,
Well,
voila.
why wouldn't it be if there's emotions there and there's love there, and you know that relationship is growing. And the more it grows, the more you have to be careful with your boundaries to make sure that you protect yourself. And I'm saying, when I say protect yourself, I'm talking about this because it's easy to get things backwards,
Hmm.
that you build up on something opposite
Right.
of what you should build on. Like some people, I'm just going to say it.
Right.
Some people think that you can build a relationship off sex.
Right.
And most of the time, it actually doesn't work out the way you. And you can invest so much emotions into that that's basically what you'll have, and you have nothing beyond that. And when you do that, and it doesn't work out, you have invested so much of yourself and so much of your emotions.
Your inner man.
You're
For the young
right.
ladies, your inner man.
Well, for
Or for the
God too.
older women too, your inner man, when you allow that to happen. And I'm
Right. Go ahead.
speaking for all ladies of all ages. When you do that, I mean, there's pretty much nothing left to do.
But see, you hadn't. To me, if you're gonna build something, I don't think you should put the cart before the horse.
Hmm.
I mean, when you're trying to build something serious, this is why boundaries are important. This is why it's good to protect yourself. When you believe that you are beginning to change in behavior, feelings, love, then it's good to say, listen, let's do what it takes for us to protect ourselves. Because I think it's best so that you can actually build upon something beyond that.
What we got a question that
Yes.
asking you to explain boundaries.
All right. When I'm talking about boundaries, you know what it is that can get you in trouble, that make you take
Right.
a step that you don't need to take right now, that could get you in a situation to having sex, um, touching, feeling, going too far, that could compromise what you're trying to build. And to me, compromising what you're trying to build is so important to your relationship as it go further. This is why I think it's important to have some form of boundaries. Is because you want to make sure you build something beyond sex,
Infatuation. Yeah.
infatuation, just straight out emotions, because your relationship just got to be greater and deeper than that. So you need to have set those boundaries up for yourself and for the other individual. Say, let's build something serious. Let's not just simply build, you know, play house, as we would say, play house, and then we have nothing but that. And I'm gonna tell you this: I've seen it. I've seen men get very emotional.
Hmm.
But gosh, when a woman invests that kind of
Right.
emotions into a relationship, she giving up herself, her emotions, and that guy get up and just walk away because he found another body to lay with.
And see, that's
I know it can happen both
right.
ways,
I
but
know, but and me again, I'm for the women's. I'm not, you know, I'm talking to the women. What he's saying, is true. You just can't do it. Our body is one of our most powerful weapon as a woman, and you just can't just give it out to everybody. Or and if he love you, he'll wait on you. If he really love you, he'll wait on you. And then the other boundary is when somebody asks about is should there be a third wheel, then you won't. It's almost like you need it so you won't go that far. And I know that I've heard it all my life. If somebody want to do something, they'll find a way
right,
to do it.
right,
And most of the time, when you find a way to do it, it don't turn out right.
right,
It,
right,
it doesn't turn out right because you're finding a way. You're pushing the issue. Um, and my biggest takeaway from this marriage workshop is for young ladies to save themselves for
well,
marriage. And even, you know what? And even if some have gone too far, even at this point, it's still not too late to put the brakes on it. Say, okay, from here on out, I'm gonna be um I'm gonna have my
right.
boundaries. I'm not gonna be something for somebody just to
And,
to
and,
just just to have their way with.
but see, I think that's important for a male as well, because it's not like males can't get emotional and caught up. I've seen it. And this is why it's important for males to do the same thing, to hold that boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
because what you're trying to do is build something. This is why we talking about the journey to I do,
Mm-hmm.
because we're trying to explain to you how to build something that's greater without simply putting the cart before the horse, because it's easy. I mean, it's easy to end up someplace you have no business compromising. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to build something that you believe that can go beyond just simply the bedroom, then the thing is, it's a way to do that. We're not telling you, um, trying to shove anything down your throat, so to say. But I tell you this is why I keep bringing up mature conversation, because my growth for her was with her. She had inspired me. This is why I want you to remember as we talk about our journey. Why she inspired me to be a better person. That's when I knew it's, I'm going
Okay,
to
because
try to
that's gonna
impress her.
excuse me, because that's gonna get into the question. A question for you said, while dating Janice, when did you know she was going to be your wife?
I tell you, it's it's a little different. That's hard to say, but this is what I knew. When the more I talked to her, the more I felt that she was mature. I felt that I saw some attributes that I like in a woman. I'm gonna tell you this, like I
It
told you
wasn't
on last
perfect.
week. No, I'm not saying that you were
Okay.
perfect. I'm saying what I like and when I knew you were the one. Most guys, as I said on last week, let me tell you what a lot of guys do. There's a secret from the man club. A lot of time, guys, the most important respectful woman in their life is the woman that they're gonna try to find attributes to. A lot of time, not always, but a lot of times, when they actually want to build a serious relationship, you're gonna have some attributes to whoever that woman is in his life. If it's his mother, his grandmama, his aunt, whoever it is, this is what he's gonna use basically as a tool, because he know a good one when he seen one. So when I began to talk with Janice and we began to develop more and more, I saw a certain maturity on a level uh, in her. So as we began to talk, there was no, um, gosh, anything to make me go back into what I thought was a young boy stage. I got inspired through the conversation to do better, to be better, and to grow as an individual. And so when I noticed the attributes she had and that I was willing to grow in that relationship, I knew she was the one. It's almost like, I'm gonna tell you this, I don't know how to say it, almost like a chain, it just go off. And you say, you know what? This is the person I'm willing to grow with. This is the individual that inspired me to be a better person, to grow, to mature, to do better as an individual. And it was just something special about our conversations that made me want to be better. And so that's what made me fell more and more in love with her. The more conversation we had, I said, gosh, um, and I already thought I was a man, but it inspired me just to be the man that I thought I was and even better. So I'm trying to grow spiritually. I'm trying to grow emotionally, and I'm saying this is the woman. It just click on me. This is the woman that I want to, develop with. And so the more I tell you this, the more I grew with her, the more I just knew it. I just knew it that she was it. So I didn't want to go too far because I know we're gonna go all the way to I do, but I tell you, and I like I say, the difference was where I was at as a person.
Okay.
And I think that really kind of helped me to really be able to realize that. So as we begin to date, some of the things that as we grew, we kind of, you know, grew to a point that we was willing to begin to talk about marriage. And so we got to the point where we started talking about marriage. And so I got to the point where I said, you know what, I'm gonna marry her. Um, I asked her to marry me. Now, here's some of the things that we're going to talk.
Somebody want to know how old we were when we. Okay, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm so
No
sorry.
problem.
Someone asks, what do you do when you're waiting for your mate? Waiting can be challenging, and it can, but
And it
it's
can
worth
be.
the wait.
But it's worth the wait, but it can be. And I say this, and I say this to anybody, both male and female. Uh, you're not going to be seen or known hiding in a corner, so to say. What I mean by that is this. Um, Sometimes you have to kind of get out. Doesn't mean I'm not, when I say get out, I'm talking about you have to be around people sometimes to get out. You definitely need to go to work somewhere so you can be seen or known and be found. Um, so um, when it comes down to waiting on your mate, let me say this because this is why it's good to have good friends along the same line that have the same mentality so you can strengthen someone and say, you know what? Let's wait. No matter what, God gonna send us someone, and encourage one another. Someone that believe in the Lord like you to send them someone. Wait on the Lord that you be around people that can encourage you. And this is why it's good to also be around mentors that understand that. If you get with someone that understands that you try to be married and know that it's not easy finding the right person, then they also can pray for you and help you. So be around those people with that kind of mentality because I think they can strengthen you.
And waiting can be challenging. But even when Darryll and I had conversation and I knew he was the one for me, it still was a waiting period for me. And I'm saying this to the young ladies. Even though you like him, love him, and you feel like he's the same way, you still need to be, I think you need to hold a little reserve in the tank. Just don't be all out there. And because as I said in last week's segment, when he came to church, that's when I really knew that I liked him, because I missed him that day. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to show myself. If he wants me, he'll come to my mother's house, and he would talk with me. So he did eventually came up that day. But
Yes,
it's still, it is challenging. It is challenging.
yeah,
But there are some red flags though.
yeah,
Even
but
in
yeah, go ahead. There are.
even in the journey from courtship to I do, because we've had two incidents in our courtship that we didn't think we was gonna make it.
We did
We did.
because
We
go ahead.
One was me and one was you. So
Me?
yes,
But go ahead. Okay.
and but we pulled through it. So everything not going to be peachy keen. We don't want anybody to think that we just went sweeping through. No, we did not go sweeping
Right,
through.
because we really here's the thing, because we want to talk about this. I think this is important. One of the things we learned when we went from start dating to begin to grow toward marriage, some of the things we learned is about learning the other individual, and also being able to look out for some stuff too, that you need to learn to look for. Like that, whoever asks about waiting, and I think this is why I talked about praying, because you need to be around people who can help strengthen you in your wait, because you will get desperate and you'll miss a lot of things with the right individual, and you can get caught up with the wrong individual because you do want to be married. And so you'll miss all the red flags that they could bring, you could miss. So, but anyway, I'm gonna let you talk a little.
Give some of them for guys.
Well, I'm gonna say this because I'm kind of glad they brought that question up. One of the things that in your waiting, while you're waiting for your mate or waiting for God to bless you with somebody, that you learn to look and know who's around you, because we think this is important. And then, even then, when you begin to develop that relationship and you say, let's take this a little bit further. You believe it's going a little bit further. Don't ignore red flags as we talk about things that you know you not only is not willing to deal with, but you know are dangerous signs. Because in the midst of waiting, you can miss how quick he is to get angry. How he doesn't like to resolve anything. And the reason why we talking about this as well is because we had a really heated argument. Not one time was I'm saying, well, I'm threatening you, and all of this other type of foolishness that can go on, because she could have been so desperate that I could threaten her, because at that time, I got to mention these times so y'all won't think of a peachy cream coming up, that doing those two major fallouts that we had, that time that we thought maybe this ain't gonna work, that we didn't do anything that, or I didn't got so angry so quick that I couldn't resolve the issue, because she could have been so desperate that she ignored my quick anger. I could have been a person that quickly get angry, a person that quickly get controlling, a person that quickly tried to manipulate her to make her think It's me and nobody else. None of this stuff. So to me, while you're waiting and believing God, be careful about who's in your circle. This is why we say it's important that you know who's in your circle, know who to grow with. Um, you can talk about some of the things you want to talk about on
Well,
that, especially from your end.
well, a red flag for me would be if he doesn't want to pay for anything. He don't want to. No, he don't want to pay. Period.
Well,
I'm being honest,
okay,
because I've never paid for. I might pay more now than I do, and you know
hold on.
that. You know that.
Okay, all right, okay,
I pay now more than I because I didn't pay before then.
right.
Um, I'm just saying it's just stuff like that that you need to. Are you willing to go deal with in the long haul? Because if he's not willing to cater to you before that,
Sacrifice,
him now, not you,
right?
not the lady. I believe in traditional courtship and marriage. I'm Southern and I'm old, and I believe that I'm not the type of woman I can handle my own, and I pay for my own food. I would think that if we go to a restaurant and we're not married and he asking me to pay,
Take it from me.
I'm sorry.
She's
I'm
very
sorry.
traditional, so
I'm sorry.
I can agree with that
I
because
am.
I don't think you. And matter of fact, I didn't expect you to. But as you brought that up, because I've known guys to claim or want someone that can help them pay their bills, help them.
Mm-hmm. If
Li-
if a guy asking you for money before y'all get married,
I'm serious.
I'm telling you. Now I'm not saying don't write him off totally, cause he might
We just
get
say,
a good job up in the
we just
laundry.
say it's a red
No, I'm
flag.
just saying.
You got to pay. I got everything had to be 50-50 because his mindset to
Who?
me, I'm talking about when a guy think everything got to be
Okay,
50-50.
okay.
His mindset a lot of times is not about being the head of his household and taking care of his household. Not
Yeah.
saying that he will never need a wife help, but he need to be able to cater to you now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can't. I'm not.
And I'm not telling the women to go out and want the most expensive thing, want to go to the most expensive
Right.
restaurant. And if and I shouldn't be talking to the guys like this, but if you got a woman that want all of that before you get married, and you know you don't have
That's
the
just the
means,
beginning.
then you just need to let her wait until she humble herself, or y'all get some
But
more money, because that could be
right.
a big problem. I,
Because because here's why we can tell y'all this. Because you have to think we was very young.
mm-hmm.
We didn't have a whole lot. But I tell you this, not one time um, did she turn around and say, well, I'll pay this time. There was a certain demand. I reckon, well, she didn't say it, but yet say it. And being the person that I was, I couldn't see myself expecting her to pay this meal and of course we didn't like we went out for a lot of meals, but I was on the traditional role as well, and so I couldn't have seen myself not paying for the meals. We
Mm-hmm.
we we go out to a restaurant. And I'm gonna say, baby, I left my wallet home, and every time you turn around, baby, could you give me $20? Baby, I ain't got nothing on me. I ain't got no paycheck. I think you would have tell me, said, well, how about next time don't take me out till you get some money.
Yeah, I just wouldn't go out
Or
there
you
with
wouldn't
you.
go out.
Like, now I have to deal with it. He'll put it in a buggy and run. Go. He'll be looking at a book somewhere. So
Well, that's because I earned that spot.
I know you did. You did.
But
You did.
nevertheless, it was some
But
of the things
red,
that,
we just talking about
you
these
know,
red
but
flags.
some of the things
That
that we thought that were, as we
okay.
came along, we kind of thought that we never had an expectation that she was going to take care of half of anything. And I'll tell you, that's the way we begin to approach even our going into our marriage is that I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
a man and the head of my household.
Right.
And you didn't necessarily have to tell me that,
But
but
I saw it in you
right,
because
and,
you took on responsibilities even before,
right, and
as
so
in emotionally, and I had
Right. Well,
children before.
being able to take on, because a lot of times I think when you're dating and all happy, before you get to do, you have to understand there are responsibilities that come along. There's responsibilities in a relationship. So this is why we're telling you, anytime you dating a person that, everything got to be 50-50, because you're going to find out in
It
a
ain't
relationship,
50-50.
it ain't 50-50.
Okay.
There's sometimes you're really going to have to get a lot.
And I got another question. She says, "Can you move too fast based on looking at someone else's relationship?" Yes.
Absolutely.
We was talking earlier. Well, we always talk about this, not doing this because of this
Right.
series, but and TV is one of the most worst things
Ooh.
that is killing a lot of people. Everybody want these fairy tale romance and marriages, and it's nothing like you see on TV. It's like it's cut and edited.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
you
bad
expect that
parts are
Snow
left
White and
out.
that Cinderella stuff.
Right.
And relationship take work. This is why we tell you, when we went from going to growing to I do, it takes work. This is why we talked about our heated arguments that we thought might have severed our relationship, but because we built something that we thought was greater than a simple argument, that we was able to overcome it. And so we build our relationship on that, on something greater
And
than just simply anything else. And it really helped us, so that when we had those heated arguments, we realized we had to work on our relationship. We had to work on who we were. We had to learn how to forgive. We had to learn how to move on. We had to learn how to inspire one another till we get to that point.
someone asked a question, said about they was always before marriage. They're married now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been I've been told that my standards were too high. Do you think women are taken down because men aren't coming up? Um, Not necessarily.
All right.
I've seen a lot of desperate women, to be honest with you, and I think some. How can I say this? We are doing this to inspire people because we've been married for 35 years. And even from this, sometimes the answer is going to be no. You might just need to stay by yourself. You're not ready for marriage. You're not marriage material. But um, when you say standards are too high, and I said that during the Friends
Right.
episode, don't be nasty, but don't compromise, because if he know where you stand, then maybe y'all will meet in the middle, or happy medium. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
the way I was mature, it made you come up
Right.
to
It made me want to be a better
made me want to be
person.
a better person to accommodate me. And it depends on what you taking down. What part are you taking down? Body wise, no.
Absolutely not.
Money wise, no.
So, and here how
Because money can destroy relationships. That's
absolutely.
just point blank.
I think it depends on what your standard is and what it is you consider it. And the thing is this: if money is your main objective, um, personally, I don't think you want to get married if your relationship is simply built on money, about a certain standard money wise, then I think you might need to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Just buy what you want on your own. I think it can be part of the equation, but it can't be the main goal and the main objective. Or you want a certain person from a certain class or whatever. Because here's the thing about relationships when you allow them to grow. Because here's what I find out. So I'm gonna tell you this: when you have a certain standard, if I'm not serious about you, guess what? I'm gonna try to bring you down from those standards. I'm gonna try to meet you in other areas and make you rethink about your other standards. So the thing is, you don't come down to my standards, you stay where you're at. And you say, okay, if you want to build a relationship with me, then you got to improve your game. Because if you're not inspiring the individual to do better, and that's not always with money, because I'm telling you this: if you make $160,000, he make $40,000. See what he does see what he does with his money. And that'll tell you whether or not he can handle money. Because you can make 160, he only making 40, and you blow yours.
Mm-hmm.
But he can take his 40 and make his look like 160. So to me, it depends on, I don't think you have to lower standards. You got to make guys demand that if you want to be in my life, I demand you meet my standards. Other than that, take off, buddy. Because the minute you move an inch off your standards, guess what? If a guy not serious, he watch you. He said, well, I just made a move from there. I'm going to make a move from everything. That can be a problem.
Right.
That can be a problem. So me personally, from a man perspective, I think like I told you, or like I told you all in the first, it because of who she was made me respect who she was. And it also made me think about her differently. So a lot of time, maybe men won't make you think that. But to be honest, a man would prefer to kind of move in your direction if that's what it takes um, to get there. Then I think if he really care and try to be in your world, he's gonna work on himself.
Yeah.
The person got to be inspired to be better.
Right. And we went from friends to
We develop.
journey to I do, and even before the journey to I do, you have to ask yourself: is this what you want to do? Are you willing to commit to someone for life?
Yes.
Or and that takes us to sometimes we think that we had a discussion that maybe some people should look at the vows first because that's a big
That
part.
to me is huge
Mm-hmm.
because your relationship, as you grow in relationship, you have to define certain roles that you're going to play in your relationship. You have to. I don't care who you are. You're gonna have to learn to define roles and what the other person like, what you like. See, growing in relationship is about learning what the other person like, and you have to think about, can I do the things that it takes to please the other person? Can I do the things that it takes to make the other person continue to be happy with who I am and who we're going to marry?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. So we
And the second part to that question was moving too fast or going to being at a certain place where people think you should be at. And
ooh, that's huge, isn't it?
mhm. But it's just gonna be you and him or
Absolutely.
her and you,
And her,
her,
you, yeah.
whatever.
Never let or allow anybody to push you before you're ready,
Mm-hmm.
because marriage is work.
It is.
Relationships are work, and if you're not willing to sacrifice, you're gonna find out real quick how quick you are to be frustrated, angry, and then because you didn't really build anything, your frustration and anger to lead to anything. You can dissolve it, you can move on, you can do what you want, but it's important. That's why we're talking about the journey that we took to get to I do, because we begin to build a relationship that really had kept us even when things was shaking your head. I mean, you frustrated, you angry, you upset, but you have something deeper that have tied you together that keep you together even during the storms. So to me that's important.
Are we gonna do the wedding vows?
So we thought about this as we grew, and we didn't have anybody to do this to us per se, but we thought that it would be good because when you're in a relationship and you thinking about what you mean to the marriage, what do I mean to this marriage? What if we're gonna be married? What we gonna mean to one another?
Mm-hmm.
We thought about the fact that it might be important that sometimes you just sit down and read your vows,
Mm-hmm.
or read the vows, or whatever vows you want to make.
No, no. Too
Leslie,
many,
you won't go
too many
there?
people making the
Well,
wrong one.
well, the
The
reason why I
trad-
said that
the
because
traditional vows. The traditional
well,
vows.
the reason why well they're gonna find out they're gonna end up in a traditional role more so than they think. But the reason why I said that was this because you'll find out people write their vows, and if you ever been to a wedding where people write their vows, you'll notice that they're leaving out a lot of sacrificial stuff because they don't want to make sacrifices. They, as long as they're happy, they say I'm with you.
Right.
As long as it doesn't take effort, that it doesn't,
Yeah.
it's not work on my emotions, not work on my mentality,
Right.
not a work on my spirituality. I'm with you. The minute it get there,
And someone
I'm
asked
ready
the
to jump
question,
ship.
what if we don't want to say our vows?
Well, my thing is this: before you, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna let you have your say. Before you even say I do, I'm thinking you need to at least sit with down with somebody and get some form of counseling because you really need to know and understand the dynamics
Yeah,
of,
because like
of
I say, it's not marriage is a work.
right,
We're still working.
right,
Even though you make me smile regardless. When I see you, I just smile.
okay,
I'm I'm like that. I do you do that too. But anyway, it's still a work. And like you say, if they sit down with someone or sit down with the individual later on for the end, I think. Well, I don't know.
right.
But let's read them and let's go
Well,
over them. See.
let's read over them. And you say, what if you don't want to? They ask, what if they don't want to say their vows?
Yeah.
And I want to say why you don't want to make a vow to an individual that you're in love with, that you want to build something with.
Right.
See, I question that. I'm not saying you can't do it. I just question that you're not willing to do that.
Right. And then they're
They're
not
not.
hard.
They're not hard.
They're not hard.
Look. Now listen to these vows. I, so and so, or Darryll, take thee,
Janice,
Janice, to be my wedded wife or husband, to have and to
hold.
hold from this day forward. Listen to this, for better, for worse. See, here's where I'm gonna stop as I go through, because as we talked earlier, we watch too much TV and too much Hollywood, and we try to make everything so Hollywood. Them folks here in Hollywood can't get along, but they'll make that thing look so beautiful, and next thing you know, oh, such can't even get along. But marriage take work. Don't pay attention to TV. Sit down and talk to somebody. Get counsel so they can let you know some of the ins and outs that you can face. All right. Say it's a for better, for worse, for richer. Or you on that line when it come down for richer, right? But it also said it for poor. Because what this does is actually allow us to understand that you are committed to one another regardless of the circumstances. So you need to build a relationship that's greater than circumstances. Because circumstances are guaranteed to change.
Right. Your money,
Yeah, your money said, oh Lord, we can tell you some things, but we
right.
had to pray.
Right. And then a lot of young ladies now are just thinking, things happen, job fail,
Yeah,
jobs are be obsolete or something happened, and all you was looking at was the money part.
yeah. Well,
You
you watch too much of these reality shows, and you think you're gonna always have an opportunity to stay dress up, fix up. You all glamorize when you cooking and all that, or you got
Yeah,
somebody else to
cook
cook
for
for you
you.
and all this stuff. No, don't pay no attention to that stuff. That foolishness. This is why we tell you, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health. See, you need somebody that you have built a relationship with, that whether things are good or bad, they love you and gonna stick with you. Listen, and in health, to love and to cherish during those times till death do us part. To Let me tell you, that is so important to me. It said, according to God's holy ordinance, and thereto I pledge thee, my faith. So if you ask me, are you willing to do that? Are you
Or
willing?
right. Are you
That's
are
no,
you are
yeah.
you are you are you wife material?
Or are you
I
husband
mean, are you
material?
um just want somebody or just to say you had a big wedding
Yeah.
or just to say you pick
That's a
out a
big
dress,
thing.
yeah,
Oh
or
Lord,
the
that's a big
biggest
thing. I
wedding,
had this fancy wedding. I spent $25,000, $30,000
or you
into
yeah,
it.
and then you have be willing to even give of yourself.
Right.
Marriage is never 50-50. I don't know who came up with that. It's never 50-50. There are sometimes I might have to pull 20 and
Hmm.
you pull the 80. I pull the 80, you pull the 20.
And to me, that
160, 140, whatever it takes to get you through whatever
right
the situation
situation
and the
is,
circle. If you're a young lady and you're selfish and don't want to
or a
help,
young man.
yeah, but I'm speaking
Right.
to the ladies.
Right.
If you don't
That's why
want
Jim J.
to, you don't want to help, or you are a selfish person, I feel like you should just leave them alone.
No.
Just just leave them alone, because sometimes things can happen, and it could be a catastrophe or anything happen, and it's not that fairy tale that you was looking at, but
So
you're
you,
in it and you should stay with it.
yeah. So you need to know these things, because we learn these things, and that's why we want to share them with you. Because when you're trying to make a relationship, these things you need to know. You build that relationship. We go into the altar. We have agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I ask you to marry me,
Right.
and you
And I
say,
didn't ask him.
yeah,
I don't believe in that. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I don't believe in that.
yeah,
I'm not. I think a man should ask a woman.
yeah,
We're more easy to fall in love
well,
and to
yeah.
cling, and
Uh,
you're, guys kind of
well,
like run off. They do.
here's
They
the
do.
thing. It not only seems strange even when I see it, but when you do a guy that, I think there's a different mindset that happens when you say, "Can we get married?" To me, I'm thinking that man got a different mindset, that he's gonna be able to ride you
Mhm.
and won't really pull his weight. Not
Mhm.
saying that it's gonna happen. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
to me as a man, if you'd
Mhm.
have asked me to marry you, Lord, if I wasn't working tight, I said, boy, got a good worker. Um, bring home the bacon.
Yeah.
Um, and who knows whether I would contribute anything, but nevertheless, we are traditional. I think that man needs to ask you. This is my opinion. He needs to ask you to marry him. And see, when it goes there, see, when you tell a man that, that man knows that you can't live without, and it goes both ways. You can't live without him, but maybe he can live without you. So there needs to be a development,
Mhm.
so that if you're going to get married, make sure that that individual, I feel like I can't live without you.
Mhm.
See, and that's what gets him there, because you have made him up his game. When that man begin to make sacrifices for you, then you know he's doing it for a reason. When he get down and he asks you to marry him, you have inspired him so that he feel like, listen, I got to have you in my life.
Mhm.
I can't really go any further with that life, because you're the individual that made me actually take a look at myself, actually make me want to do better. I want you as my wife. I'm trying to figure out how you get any better than that, because that's the conclusion he kind of comes to.
Mhm.
And so that's when he say, you know what, I want to marry you. I want to marry you. Now I'm married.
You talking to me?
But that, to me, it growing to that route, uh, um, I think you should wait. Don't ever be that desperate. And I'm not saying it's well, I don't like it. I To me, for your sake, I say wait, let him ask you. Don't
Right.
ever push him. Don't push. Let me tell you this. I'm gonna go back to that question. Don't let anybody push you that you need to get married at a certain age, or else. You wait. You make sure he love you. You make sure he's inspired. by you, and that he want to do better to make your life better, and that together he's going to do what he can to make your life as good as he can do it. Because the thing is, if he's not inspired to do that, when things happen, he'll be quick to give up. Right. But if you have inspired him to be better, he's going to continue to be inspired to make things better for you.
We got one last question because our time has gone.
Okay.
It says, should a couple do premarital counseling?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it this way because I say this all the time. I think it would be foolish not to. I absolutely think it would be foolish not to. Because you need to dig deeper into what you're about to encounter. And I think with a neutral party that got both of you at heart and the relationship at heart, I think can open your eyes to some things and make you either see some things or think about some things. Because when we talk about, we read those vows and talk about those things, you need to be aware of those things a lot more in detail. And some things can spring up on you. So I think if you're not willing to, I ask the question, if you're not willing to get premarital counseling, I want to ask why. Right. What you try to hide? What you want to run to the altar for so quick?
Right.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So please.
And some of the counseling already be in the making. You already know.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why we're gonna get to the ugly truth. Like,
yeah.
Okay. You know, even the counseling is just an addition to.
Right. So matter of fact, let's get to the ugly truth. Let's get to the ugly truth.
You want mine first?
Yes.
My ugly truth is for all the young ladies, older ladies, middle-aged ladies. I'm gonna use this word. I hope I use it in the right context. Don't be a thought. Don't give of yourself to everybody to try to find the right man. If you take in some of like the traditional principle of a lady in waiting and just being yourself, I wouldn't want you to come into let's see how we're going to put this, come into a meeting and in your office workplace and every guy in the office have dated you at some point in your life. I'm just using office. It could be church. It could be school. Be anywhere we are. If you're in the school, wherever you at, don't spread yourself trying to find the right person. Don't jump at the first fish that comes out of the sea. Sometimes you have to throw them back. When I say chop them up, I don't mean like kill, murder, but just trash them. Some you might see later on, but for to me, the ugly truth is, don't spread yourself trying to find a Mr. Right. If you save yourself, or if you be more into your, not when I say into yourself, be more conscious of how you are around a guy, that speak more volume than you being a loudmouth young lady. If it could be a bunch of guys standing around you. Your loud is when your mouth is loud. A lot of times, all they see is a loudmouth person. Yeah. They doesn't see somebody that they want to take to their mom. Right? Yeah.
Okay.
What's your ugly truth?
My ugly truth just is similar. It's from the men's side. Are you husband material? Because I think as a man, you need to be willing to look and say, am I willing to take on the responsibility of a family, regardless of who's working or not? Am I willing to take that kind of responsibility to be that type of man to take on the whole enchiladas? Because unless you are willing to do that, then I say wait till you mature enough. Because if you're willing, there's so many things that can happen after you say I do, and we'll get to that, but after you say I do, man, you got to be willing to take on the whole enchilada. So you have to ask yourself that, and by doing that, are you one of these men that willing to do that, or you got to have your woman that's gonna be 50-50 with you. I said, wait. I said, wait, brother, wait. And so um, that's basically mine about um, men. Because I think a lot of men need to really look at themselves and say, am I husband material? Am I willing to take on the whole enchilada? Because you're going to be responsible. Listen, I know, but I'm saying this. You're going to be responsible for her emotional health, her mental health, her spiritual health, and any other health, even her natural health. It's so you have to be willing to take on not just bills, not just trying to make her life better, but the whole enchiladas. So you have to be willing. I'm stable enough, strong enough to be the person that she can actually lean on, and I'm willing to be there for her. So that's my ugly truth. You have to look in that mirror and see, are you willing to do that? If you're not willing to do it, just break off, because here's one of the things I don't want male nor female to do is to waste time. Because you can either get caught in a relationship and you're wasting time and you didn't invest in it. And next thing you know, you're 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you realize it's not going to work. You know whether it's not going to work already. You've seen the sign, you've seen the clip. So that's my ugly truth. Go ahead.
That's it. I'm through.
Okay, well, that wraps up another segment with the Alberts and getting back to the basics. Hopefully,
Yes.
we answered some of your questions. Hopefully, we might have answered more questions we actually told you about us, but nevertheless, we hope you enjoyed the segment. And to everyone, we want you to take care, be blessed, enjoy your evening, enjoy your life, and stay with God. Or not only that, make sure you're willing to wait till you get to the right person and find the right person to be with you, because you deserve the absolute best.
Okay, I got one last question and we'll go.
Okay?
Or you want to save it to next week?
Now go ahead.
Okay, it says, Janice, while dating Elder Darryll, did you go to his house to see him, or is it that something you think the woman should not do? Um,
When I was sick.
that's that's kind of difficult because mainly you came to me,
Right.
and I did go to his house. I think you were sick.
I wasn't feeling well. Yeah.
He wasn't feeling well, and I did went to see him.
You and your mother.
hmm And I think one time I never went like by myself.
Right.
It was me or my sister, or or if he would take me to
Right.
your house,
Or a family
right,
gathering.
a family gathering, right,
He go pick you up. Tell him to come pick you up.
right.
No, all due respect. And if you're gonna drive down and meet him, tell him to meet you at the store, pick you up, and bring you. I just think it's better. I'm not.
Well, that's traditional, and a lot
Yeah.
of people, a lot of I'm just not.
I,
I'm not the type that just gonna be running to a guy's house.
right.
If he come to my,
I'm not
and
trying to.
maybe.
I wasn't even thinking about being traditional. I'm just thinking about make him make a sacrifice for you.
Okay.
That's all I'm thinking. Make him make a sacrifice for you. If it's about him, you being with the family, tell him to come pick you up, or at least meet you around the corner store and look like he pick you up, right?
Right.
So that's me. So she did came to my house with her mother, and they visited me when I wasn't feeling well.
Okay.
So hopefully we answer
Right.
every one question. If not, we look forward to next week when we talk about after
I do.
the I do, and we want to get in a little bit more of that. But we appreciate you all. So we looking forward to if you
After I do gonna be a little heavy,
yeah. Well,
and then the last series after that, we're gonna have our friends, our couple friends that gonna come in
right.
and ask. You'll be able to ask them questions. So
Right.
if you have questions that you want for that segment, you can send them now
Right.
in the message box, whatever you call that thing for Facebook, and we'll pull them off
But
and save them.
okay.
Yeah. we'll do
Yes.
that.
And so after I do is next, we hopefully it is a little heavy because you have to know the truth. We're gonna try to be as real with you as possible. We're gonna be real with you. Put it
As
period.
always.
As always. You know, sometimes I'm a little bit more choice of words when you say, nah, they need to hear it.
Yes.
So, but after the segment after I do, we look forward to you being a part of that. You can send in your questions, ask questions. We have to address it afterward. Fine. So,
Right. Yeah. We're gonna cut off here.
yeah,
We like an
nevertheless,
hour and so
yeah,
many minutes
yeah.
over.
We look forward to
Just yeah.
being with you all
And
next week.
and before you finish, you got a little brother-in-law that you used to carry around with you. He
Yeah.
said you forgotten brother-in-law. You know.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I took him
So,
everywhere
okay.
I went. And we'll talk about that maybe in the next segment
Okay.
because I got to talk about that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay then. That's
So,
it.
nevertheless, everyone be blessed from the average to you. We love you. Take care. Be blessed.